gotten to the end of the 3-day event. It's been awesome. I've asked three of the, three of the founding brains behind Ocean Visions to come up and just share a few of their reflections about what happened here and how it connects to the original vision that they had, and just any other thoughts they want to share. So we have Fiorenza Micheli from Stanford, who's also one of the founders of Ocean Visions and on our board. Nancy Knowlton of the Smithsonian for a long time, who's founder and on our board. And obviously you met Emanuele Di Lorenzo, chairman of our board. So I'm going to start, Fio, with you, please.
We don't start with the chairman?
No, he's going to, just a few minutes of your thoughts.
Okay, no, thank you, Rad. I want to start perhaps with some thank yous. First and foremost, to Manu and Nancy and Brad and the great team of Ocean Visions and all of the people that made all of this possible and made it happen, but then also all of you, because in the past 3 days I was truly inspired by the commitment and the creativity and the ambition, I think, of what is presented here. So after these 3 days, I can truly say that what was an original dream that started a few years ago in some conversations among us and others about going after the urgency and magnitude of the problems, but in a new way. In a way that is collaboratively and is multi-sectoral and really leverage all of the assets that are needed. Okay. Oh, sorry. Is it better? Yeah. Okay. So that dream, now years later now, is a reality, and it's this community. And so I think it's really phenomenal, and this has been a really meaningful and important 3 days. A lot is happening, and a lot needs to happen next. And so this is just a beginning. I think we need to all remain hopeful and committed and listen and realize that everything we do that is of any value we'll do together. And I think a community like Ocean Vision, it's absolutely what is needed. And so thank you all. And please have safe travels back home, and I really look forward to seeing what's next. Thank you.
So I would begin by seconding everything that Theo just said. Those of you who know me as the queen of ocean optimism will realize that a meeting like this really makes me happy. I'm a big believer in, and I think that particularly this meeting to me reflects a quote that I often mention, which is that of Bill Gates, who said, "We often overestimate the change that occurs over 2 years, but underestimate the change that can occur in 10. I think that's a really important message, particularly for a number of the ideas that are being presented here. I'm also a big fan of improv, in particular, the whole idea of beginning conversations with yes and rather than yes but. And I thought there was a lot going on in this meeting which was revolved around the importance of bringing people together and finding points of agreement. And I think that is so much more helpful than the circular firing squad, which often consumes scientific and political debate. It is in that framework that I would like to mention something that I think we really need to keep in mind, and that is a paper that was actually just published today in Nature by David Ho. That paper is entitled "Carbon Dioxide Removal is an Ineffective Time Machine." And he goes on to say that decarbonization must come first, or carbon removal will be next to useless. And we must stop talking about carbon dioxide removal as a solution for today. Now, those are the headlines from the article. In that article, he does not deny or even downplay the importance of investing in carbon dioxide removal and also nature in terms of some of the methods that we've been talking about over the last couple of days, and also the traditional sort of nature-based solutions for carbon removal involving essentially planting trees and blue carbon solutions, particularly for the ocean. But what he's arguing is that we can't allow those methods to replace the urgency of reducing global greenhouse gas emissions today. And so what I would urge all of us to do when we think about how to deal with that conundrum is to remember to combine the passion and the vision we have for some of the things that we're working on with the honesty and integrity that is needed to be realistic about the scale of the problem we face. Because if we overhype what we're trying to do today, it will really come back to bite us. And so that's the message I would leave you with. I love the enthusiasm, I love the passion, I love the honesty, and I remain an ocean optimist. But please do it in the context of a realistic assessment of what we're trying to do and what we can accomplish, and the incredible importance for restoring the climate of reducing the amount of damage we're doing on a daily basis.
Thank you, Nancy. I'll go last, and I'll be shorter because we are running out of time. But I want to pick on the optimism that Nancy was talking about and how she championed that. Because in our early conversation, one of the reasons I got into this was that I had lost hope. I had lost hope that we could do anything about the disaster that is going on with our climate and with our ocean. And so in a way, this journey with my friends and colleagues and many of you has been really one of regaining that hope, seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. And in that sense, I really would like to emphasize how important it is for this group of community that we're building to really think about reaching out and in training, really the young minds. I have 4 small children, and they ask me about the climate. They're hungry about, their future. And so I hope that this conversation really, that I saw this week, is really something that we need to bring outside these walls to a broader group of people. And that's because, in a way, the reason we are in this particular situation on the planet is because we have failed as a group of creating a global consciousness among people for these global scale problems. And so with that, we are enabled to deal with global problems without a global consciousness. And so reaching out and really making sure that the next generations will have that is equally important. So while we want to look for these solutions, we also don't want to forget that we have to reach out, we have to communicate, we had a great panel just now. And in fact, I hope, especially with these UN programs that we have put in place, that this will be really a platform to hear the voices of the many and bring them here to participate. And talking about this summit, this was great to be here in person all together and have this thrilling conversation really with the prospect of really breaking those silos among groups. But it also reminds me of the equity of all this, that we are in a first world country and not all of us could attend. We had a lot of our speakers from remote countries that had to come on Zoom. And so we really have to rethink through also how we do this community building. And this is great food for thought. And I'm going to have to give it to Brad because we're almost out of time. Thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank the 3 of you for your vision in starting Ocean Visions and in sticking with it and your dedication to this. I also really want to thank our team at Ocean Visions. I am extremely proud of everybody that has put this conference together. It's been impressive, and all of the other people who were involved, all of the track chairs, all of the people who participated with their content and their knowledge, I have found it very energizing. So I'm just really excited about it and sort of recharged about the idea of getting together. It's a lot of work to put these things on, and you kind of wonder, is it going to be worth it? I think, from my perspective, it was really worth it. I want to just leave you with a couple of my thoughts, and this will not surprise my team. We need more urgency. We need much, much, much more urgency. We're careening towards catastrophic change on the planet that might become irreversible. And we know this. We're the generation that has the scientific tools and the ability to observe and track and model and record this change. And we know it's happening. We all know it. But we're still waking up every day and working like it's not an emergency. So urgency is critical. And I hope that if you take one thing away from this in terms of a strategic frame, when somebody says, what do we do about the ocean climate problem? It's that 4 R's. Reduce, to Nancy's point, remove, repair, which covers a lot, and reach out to a much broader audience and engage a much broader audience. It is not any one of those things by themselves that will solve this problem. And David Ho's article actually points to the fact that about 30 years from now is when we're going to be removing extremely large amounts of carbon if we can stand up this industry, because we will need it to not be stuck at a point of 450 or 470 parts per million in the atmosphere, which is the path we're on with decarbonization alone. So we need all three. We've got to have the repair as well, right? It won't make any sense if we arrive at the end of using all these tools and there's massive parts of our system gone. So just keep this in mind. We need to avoid quibbling over the differences of importance between these 4 areas. There's a very famous quote by someone who calls this the narcissism of small differences, where we fight incessantly over, is it CDR or decarbonization or restoration or 30 by 30? It's all of it, right? And we should be really fighting with the people who have a completely diametrically opposed worldview, not who are all part of our same movement or our same community. So please, keep all of that in mind. Ocean Visions intends and hopes and aspires to be a collective place where people can bring their ideas, bring their projects, bring their passion, and find ways to work with others. We'll continue to try to fulfill that function. And so it's been great to meet all of you. Safe travels home, and I hope to be working closely with you in the future. And now we can have lunch.
Just a quick announcement. We have a free event that starts at 12:30 that it's about developing a gaming ecosystem for ocean solutions and climate for the young generation to both get inspired, but also to provide their input of envisioning our future for the ocean. So if you can, stay tuned.